The Russian military is recruiting, and they're looking for real men, quote unquote, real men in their new ad campaign, which is a little insulting to the Russian troops. But anyway, in this video, we are going to be analyzing what this video ad looks like. And one thing you'll notice is that this video really looks like what a US military ad might look like. So let's go ahead and watch the video. Let's see if we can learn something, and let's try and get into what Russian recruitment videos are all about. Okay, here's the video. Ooh. Alright. Goes hard already. Real men. Interesting. Alright, taxi driver. Interesting. I want to play this through, and then we'll get back to all the details here in a bit. Okay. Okay. Now, I'm just being honest, and I don't support what Russia's doing. That video went kind of hard. You had some, like, dirty dubstep with a little bit of rock in there. And one thing you have to realize in Russia, like in the United States, you can't say we want a man and men. In Russia, it's only men who are fighting right now. And that's a totally different conversation. So we gotta understand the cultural differences there. But let me go back and sort of analyze some things, and you can really get a feel of what they're looking for and the vibe that they're trying to do. Like, okay, right here, you're just a regular security guy. You're working in the supermarket. And honestly, like, what are you scanning in that supermarket? Just throwing that out there. But I think he had like swap from soldier. Yeah, look at that. Okay. I want to go through this. If you work out, you can be a soldier. Again, they're looking for that everyday life kind of vibe. Okay. Taxi drivers. Soldier. All right, so they're looking for everyday type of guys or everyday type of men. Hey, go and join the military. Which is interesting. That's a fair campaign. Okay. Now this is interesting right here. It tells us how much they make a month. $2,495 a month, which is actually not that bad. When I think about it, I don't even think I was making that much money as a private. That's actually not bad. Considering I'm assuming everything else will be free. But who knows, like guys, I'm just trying to say from the perspective of like, I know I'm trying not to be biased here, but that's not that bad. Interesting. Guys, that is not a bad campaign. I'm actually rather surprised. They could have made it really corny, but I think that was not a bad campaign. And they were really smart for not showing what's actually going on. They're not implying you're going to go to Ukraine. Obviously, that's like the main fight right now. But you have to understand, there's Russian soldiers all over the world in different locations. Now, this looked like this was mainly for like the army, ground fighters. Pretty interesting stuff. And then right here, this next part of the video, this is from Reuters, and it shows the actual ground campaign of like you going to sign up, if you will. And I think it's interesting. We can actually see what the campaigns look like on like poster board and stuff. And look, what they're doing is exactly what the US military is doing. I mean, they're doing like these live shows for people to go and show up. You can go and play with your rifles. This is interesting. Yeah, this is like a live spectacle, really. Again, the U.S. military literally does this. In fact, I would actually argue the U.S. military, I mean, they go into schools. I don't know exactly what the recruitment process is for the Russian military. if they go into schools and all that. There's a lot of videos that come out from Russia of like school kids disassembling AK-47s. But again, this is a pretty interesting look here. Just a regular girl looking through stuff. However, the campaign was all about being a man and men. Just saying. Yeah, look at that. I mean, this looks like, if you just put some like English words on there, you would think this poster board over here was like a US soldier if you didn't know better. So, I don't know if they just like, look, I don't know the history of Russian recruitment, but it looks like they leveled up. And look, this is classic. Get your little kids involved in the military. Make sure you like that they're into it. And look, when I was a kid, I was into the military. That's why I make YouTube videos today. So this is smart stuff. Showing off the kit. Wow. Taking pictures with the soldiers. You gotta assume that that guy was probably a veteran and he just wants to hang out with the soldiers here. A lot of Russian, I think, yeah, you're forced to fight, so. Young boys. We have to remember, from our perspective in the West, we are told that like nobody supports Russia, the Russian people hate what's going on, and a lot of that might be true, but at the same time, I'm sure these young boys don't hate the fact that they'd be making a decent wage signing up in the military. And then they see these soldiers back here who are just hanging out like, hey, we're not going to end up in Ukraine. Everything looks fine, guys. Let's see. Maybe we can sign up for the Russian military. Guys looking into information. And you got to remember, there is a law in place that they will never say anything bad about the U.S. military. I mean, about the Russian military and what they're doing. There is a law that you cannot say anything bad or negative about the Russian military or their actions in Ukraine. Now, the thing about this is that, again, it's eerily similar to the U.S. military's tactics, but a U.S. military recruiter could care less. I think a lot of times recruiters are very honest about what's going on, especially during the GWAT era, Global War on Terror. And they were allowed to be honest. They would say, hey, look, you're probably going to deploy. You might end up in Iraq, Afghanistan. You might end up in Syria, North Africa. I wonder if these guys are telling them you'll go to Ukraine. I wonder. I don't know what this is about. Interesting. Yeah, I don't speak. Hey, you can go hang out with Wagner. Wagner just putting their phone number on blast. Does anybody remember when Wagner was like this secret organization? Now all of a sudden they just put everything on blast. I mean, Wagner has really become like the parallel military to the Russian military. And then here's a little display of movement. Okay, so going back to the Reuters article, it says here Moscow is seeking to recruit up to 400,000 professional soldiers on a volunteer basis, which is a very interesting and important point. Because by far, volunteer militaries are way better than forcing soldiers to go on the front line. That is why the U.S. military is arguably one of the best militaries in the world, where one thing you have to be careful with the U.S. military, half of it is volunteer and some of it is forced, but that's a totally different conversation. Like, technically, a fighting age man in America does have to sign up for service. It doesn't mean they have to go, but just in case you might get called upon, sort of what's happening in Russia and Ukraine. But I think Russia knows that if they can get people to volunteer, those people really can't say anything bad about the Russian military because you guys signed up to be here and we're paying you a wage. That was always something that I hated about being in the army, is that anytime we complained, which was a lot, I'll be honest with you, our leaders or our boss would say, you guys literally signed up to be here, so shut up and just get with the program. And I think that is a very important point for the Russian military, to try and get people to volunteer to join the Russian military. It's more money than what an E1 makes in the U.S. military. In the U.S. military, when you break down 23,000 divided by 12, it's 1,916 or 1,916. So Russia's paying their troops more than the U.S. military? Allegedly. We don't know if that's exactly true, but Yeah, from a private to private comparison, the Russian troops are making more money. So this part of the article also is a little telling how Russia's almost trying to make you feel bad. The part of the taxi driver, is this really where your strength lies? Are you really going to be a taxi driver your whole life or an Uber driver? Join the military. And those posters say, we are looking for gunners, sappers, military medics, drivers, and tank commanders. And they even say, respect an honorable profession and decent pay. Pretty interesting. I think this is a good move on Russia to look for volunteers, to make their ad campaign almost make you feel bad. Look, you're a strong guy. Why aren't you fighting for your country? And as we all know, the Russians are very patriotic for their country, which is fine. They're allowed to do that. They are a sovereign nation. And I always try to be right down the middle when reporting these things. And we tend to think that, we all think that, oh, Russia doesn't support this. And I think that was semi-true at the beginning of the war. But it looks like from this ad campaign, they're trying to change things around and say, hey, look, 400,000 soldiers volunteered for this special operation. Obviously, it means something. So yeah, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think this is complete crap? Or do you think Russia is smart in doing this ad campaign? Again, I really think this ad campaign looks a lot like the US military or other Western ad campaigns. Very interesting stuff here. Leave your comments and opinions down below. My name is T-SPLY, and we'll see you later.